What is going on, all you GBA type people? I'm Coach the God, and I will be your host for today's new coach interview. This video, we will be interviewing the man, the myth, the waffle making legend. We have Crobat for the win, aka Danza, here with us today.
Good evening, sports fans. How goes it?
Danza, how are you tonight?
Hanging in there, you know. It's after dark, so this is when all the memes start to pop out.
Yes, everybody knows that right about midnight, you know, the memes just start flying. So, for those of you at home that do not know Danza, he was in seasons 1 through 3 of the GBA?
Correct. And the Season 4D League.
And the Season 4D League. I believe you're the Season 1 champion as well.
That is correct.
And what's some of your biggest accomplishments, I guess, in your tenure in the GBA?
Yeah, so of course it would be a shame if I didn't mention that I was the GBA Season 1 champion. A lot of people don't remember that because most of that season was actually pre-Pokebank. Draft was just starting up. This was the first league really ever, I think. There were some leagues that started to form right near the tail end of GBA Season 1. So I guess technically I have the first championship in draft format history. Beyond that, I was there for Season 2, or didn't quite do as hot, but I had a few memorable games. Season 3 collapsed pretty quickly, but alas, I did very well that season. In the D-League, as you all, I'm sure, hopefully remember, we fell just short. But we've overall had a positive record in GBA games.
Well, hopefully we can get you back into that finals position here in Season 9 of the GBA.
Oh yeah, I want to reclaim the title. Imagine bookending titles 1 and 9.
1 and 9. That would be...
Not 1 and 9 record. That would be bad.
No.
I mean winning Season 1 and winning 9.
Let's just get this season underway, and then we can see how well things go for you.
Yeah, of course.
So we're just gonna start off with the required questions, and you can just take as long as you would like to answer these questions. You can keep them as short as you would like. You can give us stories or anything. So the first question: when did you start playing Pokemon?
Really good question, actually. So it goes back more than a decade ago. My brother purchased Pokemon Diamond. He was begging me and saying, hey, you need to go purchase Pokemon Pearl. I want to play you in it. You know, we got to trade mons, stuff like that. And my brother's actually older than me. And I said to him, listen, Pokemon's for kids. What are you doing? He's actually older than me. What are you doing? So, you know what? I reluctantly gave in after he pressured me for probably about 6 months to buy Pokemon Pearl. And that was my first Pokemon game, and I had really the time of my life playing it. I enjoyed it a lot, and I ate all of the words that I ever said that were less than positive about Pokemon, and look what happened. Here I am today.
And yeah, that's right.
That's what started it. This is about 2007.
Now, I'm really glad you said Diamond and Pearl were your first games, because Gen 4 is probably my favorite generation.
Yes.
So, Gen 4 was a very good generation. So very, very good games to start your Pokemon career off with. And like I said, look where you're at now. I bet your brother didn't figure this would be the situation that you'd be in. You should probably thank your brother every once in a while.
I do. I mean, this has actually become a pretty big part of my life. I enjoy playing it quite a lot, actually. I spent a lot of time preparing for matchups, and draft format's just so much fun. It's like an elaborate chess game every single week. It really is.
Yes, very much so. So, kind of, piggybacking off the last question, how long have you been playing in League format?
So, as I said earlier, I was a participant and the champion for the first draft format ever in the community. So, the story for that is, if you don't know, or at least as it pertains to me being a part of it, I was on one of Magnitude, Steve. I think he goes by a new name now, but he used to be known as Magnitude. I was on one of his streams, and he said something to the effect of, hey, so we're thinking of this really cool Pokemon tournament type thing relating to sports. Is anyone interested? And I was a regular on his streams, and I was like, yeah, you know what? I'd like to try that out, sure. And he's like, you know what? You, Crowbat for the win, we're going to add you to this project, something to that effect. And I had been added to I think it was a Skype group, and this was where the GBA was born, and Tom Z was there. Of course, he's still here today, along with all the other Season 1 coaches. This was late 2013. I think the season actually started up formally early 2014. And that's when I started.
That's a very interesting story, because I didn't know that that's how you. Like, I knew that the GBA was the first draft league, but I didn't know how you personally had made it into the GBA. I didn't know if you were friends with Steve and Tom, or anything like that. But that's something that I didn't know. So hopefully,
that's a fun fact for everyone. I mean, I wasn't like good friends with any of them, but I was a regular on Steve's streams, and I guess and I was there at the right time. It could have been the person below me, frankly, that got added if I wasn't there.
Yeah,
so
just think if Steve wasn't paying attention to his chat at the time and he totally missed your message.
Imagine my internet cut out. We'd who knows? Actually, I'm serious. Life would be probably very different.
Yes, I'm a firm believer that it would be very, very different for you.
And I'm blessed for that. I really am. I've been given a lot of great opportunities, and especially this one right now. You don't want to squander it. I want to do well.
No, yes, we need to keep you in here for Season 10, Sword and Shield. It's going to be time. So, dabbling on into your your competitive knowledge, your competitive play. What is your preferred play style? What kind of play style would you rather play to make yourself comfortable, so that way you can be more confident in a win?
Yeah, so I would say generally I tilt a little bit more towards offense, maybe balanced offense, to sometimes I'll run hyper offense if I have to. I think I tend to be more on that side of things. I don't like stall, and I really am not a huge fan of overly defensive teams. So I think that's about where I'd fall.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good area for most Pokemon players. There's not many people who do enjoy stall, but balanced offense I think is a very, very good play style in draft, because you have to be able to switch into things, take hits, but you also have to be able to dish them back out.
Oh, of course. And I also don't think it's good to just have one dedicated play style that you can play or are good with. You have to shake things up depending on who you play. Like I said, I tend to favor defensive build less, but there have been times I've used them, and I've used them quite well. And there are times I've used hyper offensive builds and used those quite well. And sometimes I've made balanced teams, and those have worked out great as well. And of course, I've had experiences the opposite, where they haven't worked out as well. So, it's just, my preference would probably be somewhere between balance and hyper offense.
That's a very good playstyle, like I said earlier. But and like you said, you have to be able to adapt to how your opponent plays. If you're a hyper offensive player and you're getting ready to play another hyper offensive player, you're in for a very quick and fast paced game.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not like many of my games are going 10 turns and done. I mean, half of mine probably are 379 turns, as you know.
I believe you had a couple timer games in another league that you're in.
Yeah, I still am. I want to apologize to my opponent again for literally timer stalling for 30 minutes with a Alolan Muck clicking recycle. It was my only way to win, people. That's what it was. The other one was not my fault, though.
We will talk about why Danza did that in his other league later on in the interview, I promise. But on to the next question. GBA Season 9. We are doing a Ubers format draft. What Pokemon are you looking forward to or want to use in the upcoming Ubers format?
That's a really interesting question, because the ones that I wanted to use versus the ones that I got, or the one I got, I should say, I mean, they don't really match up. However, I am very happy with what I got. That said, for ones I wanted to use, fun story behind this one too. The one that I really wanted to use is actually Mega Lucario. I knew it wasn't going to ever fall to pick 16, which is where I ended up being, but I'm really interested to see what happens with it. So Tom has it right now, and he certainly looks very promising on his team. I think it could tear holes into pretty much everything. Fun fact, Mega Lucario was available for GBA Season 1, and not one of us dummies drafted it. Including myself. Like, I was one of those dummies that did not pick it up.
Wow.
I had Mega Aggron. So that's just a extra fun fact. That's a mon I wanted to use a lot. It's obviously not going to happen. So for kind of the sub-tier of the Ubers, so I wanted to try Genesect. It's not a mon I've used really in a long time, not since 5th Gen OU, and I actually did get that. So I got first pick in the second round. So that was a very good fit that I could get that right away. I'm quite excited to use it. I'm hoping to use Techno Blast a few times if I can. I know obviously good U-turn, good coverage. Hopefully throw a few things off guard with the download boost as well. So I'm pretty happy on that end. So for my big Uber, I got Palkia. You know what? It speeds most of the Ubers and can OHKO most of them. I think that was pretty good criteria for it. It has really great typing. It has a pretty good move pool. Overall, for a pick 16 big, like gold type tier Uber, I think it was a pretty solid pick.
Those are some pretty threatening Ubers by themselves, and even with you having them together, that's pretty threatening, to be completely honest. Because most people who pick up Genesect usually pick up like a rain team, but Genesect doesn't have to worry about fire types because you have a Dialga that just quad resists them and just can come in on any fire type, or Palkia that can come in on any fire type attack that wants to get thrown towards Genesect, and just makes a really hard time for your opponent.
And you want to make it worse, I also have Heatran too, which Dialga, I'm sorry, jeez, you got me saying Dialga. Palkia quad resists water, so that's nice.
That's actually very nice. Yes. I believe some of the fans in the fan server were saying that you probably had, and I believe Jolt was the other one they were saying had probably the best teams on paper.
I mean, that's certainly what I like to hear. I mean, one of the things that I hadn't done conventionally is draft a lot of X4 weaknesses. But you know what? I wanted to try something new, something different. I wanted to go Bulu-Lucha. I wanted to go strong that way. And if I paired up a bunch of X4 resists with X4 weaknesses, we're in good shape. I mean, we're going to be in people's heads. People are going to have to choose possibly Hidden Power Poison versus actually good coverage. Or choose between Hidden Power Fire, Hidden Power Poison, Hidden Power Ground. Like, there are going to be crazy mind games people are going to have to play. So I'm quite a fan. I think it's a little different for me, but I think it's something I can adjust to very quickly.
They always say don't take a bunch of times 4 weakness Pokemon, but from what you just said, I believe that you could probably make this work. I'm excited to see how well you do this season.
I am as well.
So now on to the fun questions. These are questions that we have a little bit of freedom with. They're gonna be they don't have to be as serious. So just jumping right into the first question. It is a little bit of a meme, and truth be told, if I was interviewing anybody other than you, this question probably would not be asked. However, if you could meet any celebrity, who would it be and why?
So you already know the answer to this question, especially given what's going on in the community right now. I'm going to say my boy Chris Hansen. But I don't want to meet him in the way that anyone would think. I would like to talk to him on Twitter and say, hey, let's grab lunch sometime. Like, that would be the way I want to meet Chris Hansen. See, he's a really cool investigative journalist. He goes after child predators. I look up to that. I aspire to be as awesome as he is for going after such terrible people. And it's become a bit of a meme, but it's also serious too. Like, it's a serious cause that I hope me making some memes about has raised some awareness to.
Well, if I remember right, somebody had tweeted at you that since you know Chris Hansen, if you could help him out, because if I remember right, I do believe that you told me that Chris Hansen follows you on Twitter.
That is correct. Chris Hansen, the guy who did To Catch a Predator, is a Twitter follower of mine. That is totally true.
Chris Hansen follows Danza on Twitter. You heard it here first, folks.
And just to make it even more interesting, I got so many ats the day all the drama broke out, the really bad stuff that we're not going to go into, but I got added quite a few times saying, wow, at Crobat for the win must have gotten in contact with Chris Hansen for this to have all happened. He must have done an investigation of the community.
We definitely probably could use Chris Hansen right now. But like I said, we're not going to talk about that. That's not why we're here. We are here to interview you as a new GBA coach.
Absolutely. But bottom line, I would like to meet him. I'd like to ask him questions about his career, some of the things that he's seen. You only see so much behind the cameras. I'd like to ask more. And maybe I'm almost being like a journalist interviewing him. That'd be really cool.
I think that would be very cool as well. All right. So you have been known to bring some pretty cool tech in the past in your past games. But what is the most, what is the heatest set you've ever brought and it actually work?
Yes, so I'm going to give a couple answers. One that is so obvious, anyone who's known me for more than 12 seconds knows about, okay? Fire Blast Gyarados. That is literally my Twitter banner right now, okay? No one will ever live that down. So this was GBA Season 1. This was the semi-final game. I had lost 2 games prior to Shady in the regular season. We played twice. I lost both of them. And we played in the playoffs. And I'm thinking, this is probably, or at least people are probably thinking, I should say, on the outside, this is a hopeless game for Danza. This is not going to go out well. Shady's going to sweep. He's going to go for the clean 3-0. Three games, won. And I come up with some really interesting heat for this game. So one of the things that gave me some trouble was Mega Scizor. I knew Gyarados had a good matchup, but if I let Mega Scizor set up on Gyarados, even with an Intimidate, we just would not be in good shape. And I saw I got Fire Blast, and that it had a high chance to 2-hit KO Mega Scizor. I'm like, you know what? I'm going for it. Going for it. So the Mon ended up getting to about half health. Stealth Rocks were up too, and he had no way to remove them at that point in the game, unless he had some random defogger I had no clue about at the time. But pretty sure he had no way to remove them. And Gyarados is in the game, low health. He tries to start setting up on me. I go for a Fire Blast and get him down to, I remember the number, 10 health. So you think Gyarados can't touch a setting up Mega Scizor at all. It'll do 5% with, Waterfall or something. It's going to do nothing because it's very physically bulky. This was a defensive Gyarados. The Fire Blast does pretty much half, and now makes it so he can't switch out. Gives me a free switch into Scrafty to go for a nice knockoff, just in case he did decide to switch for some reason. And KOA setting up Mega Scizor. Dual Intimidate core with a Fire Blast Gyarados saved that game. That was heat. Okay, so that's the full story. And by the way, the video is online. If you search for We Made It, Shady Penguin, that was the title of his video. We made it. Because he made it to the playoffs. You can see it. I think it's at about 20, 22 minutes in, something like that.
I do believe the best part of that whole situation was Shady's reaction.
It was, and if you just see my Twitter banner right now, you could see Shady's reaction in the corner. It's utterly priceless, I'll tell you. Everyone should go check it out if you haven't. Okay, and so that was the obvious answer. So I'm going to try to dig into maybe a couple that were maybe less obvious. So one that I remember that was really funny, it maybe wasn't the most heat thing in the world, but I think it was definitely unexpected. I brought an Extreme Speed Raikou to a game to deal with Talonflame. Remember, this was Gen 6 when Talonflame ruled the world. So my idea was, let's do 30% to Talonflame. Maybe if it's at low health after Stealth Rocks or something and a Brave Bird recoil or something, I can take it out. And you know what? My back was against the wall. Raikou, I believe, was the only Mon I had left, or maybe there were 2 Mons, but I basically lost at that point. Talonflame comes in, and I literally tell my opponent in the chat, crit City. I'm going to crit you. I'm about to crit you. He was visibly confused. I remember his reaction there as well. He was visibly confused, and he's seen Extreme Speed come just out of nowhere, and he's like, okay, you know what, that's fine. I can live this. I crit the Talonflame with Extreme Speed. I called it. Did not win the game because of it, but it took out Talonflame, made differential closer, and it was just hilarious.
You did speak that into existence, so that just kind of makes you a wizard at this point.
Yeah, I mean, if you call a crit, it's not hacks. That's my theory. so there's one, and I'll name two others that are honorable mentions. So in the D League, I ran a Trick Room Mega Gallade, which absolutely set up a domination ring for Alolan Marowak and Drampa. Okay, Goatpa, as I like to call it, of course. Anything relating to Goatpa is obviously great. And there was also one time I ran a Crunch Mega Heatran. Where do I find that mon?
Heatran.
I ran a Crunch Heatran to deal with a specially defensive Slowbro. And that was a few years back. 2-hit KO'd it, took it out.
All right, that's a good way to beat a Slowbro. In case you guys are having to build for your own teams and
Slow King. If I said Slowbro, I meant Slow King. My bad.
Slow King. Okay.
Point stands.
If you guys are building for your own league and you have a Heatran and your opponent has a Slow King, there you go. Crunch Heatran.
Easiest way to do it. It does get crunched, but I was surprised when I saw its physical move pool.
I haven't dwelled too deep in this physical move pool, but I bet you it's probably surprising.
I have Heatran now. Eyes emoji pops up. Who knows?
Let's see. So, outside of Pokemon, what else do you do for fun?
Yeah, so I do coin collecting. I'm also an avid reader. I still am technically in college, although not for much longer. I'm going to be graduating soon, so I'm going to be working soon. I'm a chemical engineer, so I find a lot of that, a lot of research and stuff really interesting. I have a girlfriend, go out a lot. That's kind of stuff that I do. Typical college stuff. Go out on a Friday night with some friends and stuff too. So those are some things I like to do right now.
I do believe that you told me that you were able to get your Nintendo Switch via Dave & Buster's tickets.
That is 110% correct. That is one of the activities that I like to do on like a Friday night or something like that. Actually, for Dave & Buster's, to be more specific, I go out with some of my friends on Wednesdays a lot because it's their half price day. But over 4 years, or actually it's more like 3 years, I had been accruing tickets at Dave & Buster's when I go out with my friends. And it was 100,000 tickets to get one. And I finally hit 100,000 in January earlier this year. And while I was driving to my girlfriend's house, it was about a 2-hour commute over the break. I literally stopped at a Dave & Buster's just to pick one up. I called ahead of time to make sure they had one because my local one did not have one in. Picked it up, and it was just the greatest feeling in the world. I have pictures from the day. I probably sent them to you. I have the sale receipt still on my desk. That's going to go in like a memory book or something. Probably the only person on the planet to have ever actually got one from a Dave & Buster's. You know what, though? I had an ex-girlfriend who contributed heavily to the card and never asked for it back. Basically, for about the first year, she contributed quite a bit. You know what? It all worked out.
It all worked out. So now you're all set for Generation 8 when it comes out later this year.
Oh, I am. I've been going through Let's Go Pikachu. Not nearly as good as some of the other games, but it's still a game. And it's a throwback to when I played Red. I actually played Red, by the way, after I finished Pokemon Pearl. Because we had the old games lying around.
It happens. I didn't mind the Let's Go. They're pretty fun for a little bit. So, let's see here. The next question: out of all of the coaches that are participating in GBA Season 9, which coach are you looking forward to playing the most? Which coach out of the entire roster would you like to play? So,
I've actually got two answers, and for two different reasons. So, one would be my friend Tom. I mean, we've been through a lot. Obviously, being that we've been here since the very beginning. I haven't played him formally, though, unless I'm like remembering something not remembering something major. I haven't played him. I think I played him in an NPL Season 2 game in 2015. I haven't played against him in draft for a long time. And given that we go back a long ways, I'm really looking forward to playing him. And then another more cop-outy answer is I want to play Jolt. I don't think I've actually played him since some old NPL days. Oof. And I do not have a good record against Jolt at all. I think I've lost every time. So I am hoping to break that streak finally. I think this is as good a chance as ever to do so. And my schedule does have Jolt on it, and my schedule does have Tom on it. Obviously, he's in my division. I'm quite excited to play both of them.
You always got to try to take down some friends. You know, get a little bit of bragging rights, and just you got to take out Jolt. Jolt is a Titan Slayer after last season in the GBA. Beating Jolt would be something that you could hold your head high about. So, especially if you said that, your record against Jolt is not very good.
Yeah, I want to say he maybe has 2 or 3 games over me. I've played him like maybe 2 or 3 times that I can remember. He's won all of them. And hoping to break that here. That's why I want to play Jolt. And you know what? Whether I win or lose to Tom, well, obviously I'd like to win. But I just want to play him and have a good, clean game.
That's a great answer. I really do like that answer. So, the last question before the speed round.
Yep.
Now, we all know that Tom can be rather difficult sometimes. He really lets you know what he's thinking. But I bet
he sure does.
I bet you he has a soft side. So, if you were to take Tom on a date and he lets you choose the place, where do you take him to make sure that he has a great night?
It's a very good question. Well, I have a few places in mind. I have one type of place in mind. I'm trying to decide on which one I think would be better. You know what? I know that the general type would be a nice steakhouse, but I'm feeling like a good Texas Roadhouse.
Texas Roadhouse. I do know that Tom likes, he enjoys his steak.
I hope so. I mean, that's why he'd be going there. Like a loud, crazy music, good decor, nice waiters and waitresses, like generally good people. They have an avid bar section. They got a lot of stuff there. And they got peanuts you can take all the time, hoping for no allergies. If Tom has a peanut allergy, this is going to be really awkward. My backup option, in case he does, is going to be Outback.
Okay. I've never personally been to Outback, but I do love me some Texas Roadhouse, and you cannot forget that awesome butter that they have there.
And those rolls are just out of this world. So, yeah, that's what I'd go with. That's what I go with. And usually they're near a lot of fun things, so that would be a great way to kick off friend date night.
Friend date night, yes. Every once in a while you just need to take your friends out on a night out, go to dinner, just to show them that you don't absolutely hate their guts.
Absolutely. So there's always seems to be stuff around where Texas Roadhouses are. So yes. I'm sure I've always been a pretty spontaneous person. Like there are times I'm literally just in the shower and I'll think of a really great set for the week. So I generally can be pretty spontaneous. The fact that going to Texas Roadhouse has access typically to places around it means, depending on how things are going, pick somewhere else to go.
That's very true. I'm trying to think of all the Texas Roadhouse I've been to, and they have quite a bit going on around them. So, Are you mentally ready for the speed round?
I'm ready.
These will be 5 questions. They shouldn't be too hard. I hope they're not too hard. I try to make them a little easy for you, but there are right or wrong answers here.
It might be after 1 in the morning, but I can do it.
We can get it done. So I'm going to read the question, and you're just going to give me the first thing that pops in your mind, and hopefully it's the right answer.
All right.
All right. Question number 1: What is Tapu Koko's base speed stat?
130.
What is Golduck, water, or psychic type?
Just water.
Just water. What is the fastest base speed on any Pokemon in the OU tier or below?
Mega Aerodactyl 150. Oh no, Ninjask. Ninjask 160.
There it is.
You got me.
160.
You got me.
Blue or pink Gastrodon?
Blue.
And the best prize from any draft league?
A Bob Ross waffle maker.
Bob Ross waffle maker. That is the correct answer.
That is. I am still on a quest. I'm hoping that quest won't be over by the time this is uploaded. but I'm still technically on a quest to win that Bob Ross waffle maker. So I'm hoping that I can bring it home and start mailing waffles out to people.
I don't suggest that you mail waffles out to people. However, what I do suggest is that you fans at home check out Danza on Twitter and on YouTube, the Token Minorities, as he uploads the GBA Season 9. And
Absolutely, I would heavily encourage that. Also, you'll see Jolt on the same channel. It'll be fun. We're gonna have to fight over time slots. That'll be fun.
Yes. So, if you guys did enjoy this video, then please leave a like. Let us know how we did. Join the fan servers. The fan server should be linked down below. Danza and I are in there. You can come talk to us whenever you would like.
Yeah, absolutely.
Danza, do you have any final words for the people?
Actually, I do have something to say. For anyone who actually doubts that Chris Hansen follows me on Twitter, go to my Twitter page, click followers, and you will see, as of right now, Chris Hansen is the 10th entry down. I got 342 followers right now. He's there. The man, the myth, the legend himself. He's watching over the Pokemon community now. We've teamed up.
Danza's basically telling you guys to call his bluff. So go call his bluff. Let us know in the comments if you guys actually did it, or let us know in the fan server. So that is going to be the end of this interview. Please be sure to go check out the other coaches' interviews. And as always, guys, thank you for watching, and we will see you guys in the next video.
Peace.